Hello, my name's Paul Miners and welcome back to another productivity training video. In this video, I want to talk about my absolute favorite productivity tip, which is time blocking. So I'm going to be talking about what time blocking is, why I think you should do it, and how to get started with time blocking. So what is time blocking, first of all? Time blocking is the practice or method that I use among many people to take tasks from my task list, like I have in Asana, and block out time for them on my calendar. So I really use my task list and my calendar in conjunction with one another to plan what I need to do. So why do you need to do this? Why do you need to put them on your calendar? Why would you not just use your task list? Well, a couple of benefits of time blocking. Firstly, time blocking forces you to think about how long you actually need to complete a task. If you just work inside of a task list like Asana or Todoist or Basecamp, it's very easy to add tasks to a list. It's very easy to overcommit, and very quickly you can have 20, 30, 40, 50 things you need to do in a week, and it can get pretty overwhelming. When you go through the process of taking those tasks and actually assigning time to them on your calendar, it forces you to think about how long do you need to complete that task. So like here I am right now. I have allocated some time this afternoon to record some YouTube videos. I know I need about 2 hours to get these videos done. And so rather than just saying record the videos and hope I can squeeze it into my day, I've actually allocated time to do that task. So that's the first thing, because if I have 10 things I need to do today, if I block out my day and allocate time to the first 5 items on my list, well, now if my day's full, in order to make room for the other 5 things, I need to make some decisions. I need to make some trade-offs. So that's the other benefit of time blocking, is that it forces you to prioritize and shuffle things around based on how important different tasks are. A couple of other benefits of time blocking. It helps with procrastination as well. Again, if you just have a task list, especially if you have a lot of items on that task list, it's very easy to feel overwhelmed and intimidated by all of that work. When you actually turn those tasks into a plan and you decide when you're going to do them and how long they're going to take, now that you have a plan, it's much harder to procrastinate because you've actually got a plan of attack. You can now start working on that task list. So it's a great way of taking all of your good intentions, which that's how I describe your task list, a list of good intentions, and turn it into an actual plan. And the final benefit, and this is really valuable over time, is that it creates a really nice time log or history of how you spent your time. So I've been time blocking since I was at university about 10 or so years ago now. And because I've literally been living in my calendar, allocating time for work, for projects, for clients, social appointments, health and fitness, I literally have 10 years worth of a diary that tells me how I've been spending my time. So if I ever want to go back and self-reflect on what I'm spending my time on, the calendar now is an extremely powerful tool that I can rely on to do that. So that's an introduction to time blocking and some of my thoughts on why I think it's a very useful and powerful exercise. So let's talk about now, how do you actually go about doing this time blocking, and what are some tips that I can give you to get started? First of all, I think it's important to talk about, when do you do this? I do a lot of my time blocking at the end of the week. On a Friday afternoon when I'm kind of winding down, ready for the weekend, I like to look at the tasks that I have coming up for the following week. And then I go into my calendar and I look ahead and allocate time for the tasks that I have coming up for the next week. So I do a lot of my planning on a Friday afternoon. But during the week, I always have my calendar open. In fact, during every day, I'm referring to it a lot during the day and actually modifying it on the go. So actually my time blocking is often happening in real time as I'm making changes to my calendar. And I'll talk about that a little bit more towards the end of the video. But to get started, I do recommend assigning, even just 15 minutes at the end of your week to sit down and actually think about what you have coming up for the following week, or looking at your task list and then allocating some time for those things on your calendar. So it helps if you do have a task list or some place you can refer to see what you have coming up. You can even just start time blocking, not necessarily by looking at tasks, but even just blocking out time for different types of work that you have. So an example of that would be here. You can see a lot of my days have blocks of time for email. I usually need about an hour, hour and a half in the morning to get through my inbox, respond to clients, and just get on top of everything that's sitting in my inbox. So I'm not really blocking out time for a specific task. Email is just more of a category of work. Again, like here, I've got record YouTube videos. I haven't actually broken it down into the specific videos. I've just allocated, a couple of hours to a type of work or a topic or a project. So when you are getting started, that can be a nice way to introduce yourself to time blocking rather than blocking out time for specific tasks, just blocking out time for the project or areas of work that you need to focus on. So next, during your planning session, it's literally a case of going through each task on your task list or thinking about each area of work and working out for that task, how much time do you want to allocate to that particular task? And the way I like to do that is if I'm looking at my Asana task list, you can see I have tasks that I'm appearing for next week. And I actually have these color-coded tags. You can see these ones here, 120, 5, 15, 90, which tell me how long I think the task is going to take. So you can see here next week I'm recording some videos for my Asana program. And if I go to my calendar now, I've actually already started to plan this. I've actually got a couple of blocks on my calendar for doing that recording. And so another tip here is I like to allocate, especially for a big task like this, more time than I think I need. So hopefully these videos are not going to take, what have I got here, like nearly 5 hours. I think it's going to take less than that, but I've really blocked out more time than I think I need. And that's a really useful way to make sure I don't get caught short and have to kind of catch up and find more time later. I actually plan ahead and think, well, let me give myself more time. And that way, if I finish early, great, I've won back some time. And so here is a couple of other examples. So there's the recording videos. I need to write a blog post on Monday. You can see I've allocated 90 minutes to that. So I've got that 90-minute block in here on Monday. A couple of other examples here on Wednesday as well. This is a new lesson that I want to create for my course. Again, I've allocated 90 minutes and I've got that in my calendar on Wednesday afternoon. So for a lot of my tasks, the tasks can be matched to a block of time on my calendar. And in some cases, there are multiple blocks. You know, maybe I can't do the entire task in one day. That's fine. I've allocated multiple blocks across the week to do that. Now, as you might notice, I haven't allocated time to these small little 5-minute tasks. Those are really just too small to put on my calendar. I generally don't put anything less than about 15 or 30 minutes on my calendar. So here's an example, recording the podcast. Usually takes me about 15 minutes. I've got that little block of time here on Monday afternoon. And so this is the process I go through on a Friday afternoon. I'll look at my tasks and try and find times in my week to put them on my calendar. Now, in my case, being a consultant, working one-on-one with different clients, a lot of my time is spent having these meetings. And those are the green appointments that you can see here. And I use Calendly to book those appointments. And you can have a look at my other videos on YouTube about how I use Calendly. And so a lot of my time automatically gets blocked out for me. In Calendly, I've set the times that I'm available, and people can choose a time to book with me. So if I go ahead a couple of weeks, a lot of my scheduling, a lot of my time blocking is automatically happening for me, which is pretty nice. And so the blue tasks, my own work that I'm kind of fitting in around that, yeah, I obviously do that. I fit them in between those calls. And some days, like Wednesday, I don't take any appointments usually. So a few more tips. Firstly, be careful about blocking out time for tasks back to back. You can see during my week, I've got these little 15-minute slivers of time between tasks sometimes to make sure I'm not scheduling 6 hours of work without having a break. Sometimes, I want to just go get a glass of water, get a coffee, take a break, go to the toilet. So try not to allocate, block out your entire day back to back. These lessons, what I'll probably do here is take a little break, might even do another little break there as well, just to transition from one task to the next. Otherwise, you're never going to get a break during the day. And you can see here as well, I've actually set up some recurring appointments every single day for going for a walk, having lunch. I do that partly as well so that I can't be booked during those times via Calendly. But again, anything I want to do, even if it's just like, okay, this is my time for taking a break, I've put that on my calendar. So actually you can see in the morning, I've allocated time for meditating or journaling, just a little reminder to try and start my day with a nice little practice as well. And that's something you can do to help with time blocking, is set up appointments to repeat each week. So my meditating in the mornings, my lunches, my going to the CrossFit classes in the afternoons, even things like email, these things actually repeat every week. So if I keep scrolling ahead, you can see a lot of my week is already planned because every day I have to assign time for email. I have to take out time for going for a break. So setting up your recurring appointments for any social events, Tasks that you know you have to do every week, every Monday, I've allocated time to write a blog post because I know I have to do that every Monday. So you can see it repeats every single Monday. And that's a nice way of kind of building a really good routine and being really consistent with your schedule as well. Now, the final point I want to make in regards to time blocking is how to keep your calendar up to date as you go. Because obviously, up to now, all we've done is we've created a plan. But as you probably know, most of the time our plan never goes to plan, the plan changes. And so actually, recording these videos now, I'm about to finish recording my last video, so I'm finishing this block here early. And so what I do when I finish tasks is I change the blocks to reflect how long the task actually took. And that goes to the point I made at the start, which is that now when I go back months or even years, I have a really pretty accurate record of what I was doing on particular days. So in this case, yeah, I finished this task early, so I will shorten the block to show that I finished early. Or if the task takes longer than expected, I could increase the size of the block to allocate more time with it. Obviously, what that might mean is that I then have to move another block to tomorrow to make time for that one that's now taking longer. So going back to what I said earlier, it feels like a bit of a chore, but I really do recommend, if you're going to take time blocking really seriously, to keep your calendar open. Refer to it a number of times per day, and as you finish tasks, update your calendar to reflect what you actually did. And this is a really nice way of actually replanning on the fly as well, because sometimes I will get hit with an emergency during the day, and I need to now make time to deal with that thing. And a lot of people criticize time blocking. They say, well, it's far too rigid, it would never work for me, I need to be really reactive. Well, I would say a lot of the time I need to be reactive as well. And how I can do that with time blocking is that if something urgent comes up, I can quickly say, right, well, I'll shift that, I'll move that over here for now, or I'll bump it to next week, and then now I can allocate this afternoon for this emergency. And so even though it seems like quite a rigid, sort of strict system, if urgent things come up, you can move things around. And so it's a bit like I'm kind of constantly playing a bit of Tetris on my calendar, updating blocks, moving them around, making time for tasks as new important things come up. And so the more you can be working in your calendar, keeping it up to date during the day, the more powerful this system is. And so there you have it. That is my introduction to time blocking. Like I said, this is my favorite productivity tip. I've been doing it consistently for the better part of 10 years now. And for me anyway, obviously everyone's different, but for me, I couldn't think of a more efficient way to work. I really do rely on my calendar for planning my time. If you're thinking about time blocking, I highly recommend you give it a go. You don't have to be as specific as I am with blocking out tasks. Like I said, you could even just start with blocking out projects, but give it a go. If you do struggle or have any questions, leave me a comment below, and I do go into more detail about time management and planning in my personal productivity toolkit, which you can find details for on my website. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.